Welcome to the 9-8 Central podcast, where we talk about growing a business, working in media, and building a team that we love. I'm Danielle. I'm the intern here, and I'm here with Kyle, our social media strategist, and Jen, our COO.
Hi.
So today, it's about the time of graduation. A lot of college seniors are either in the process of career planning, maybe some of them already have a job, good job to you, or you're just stressed about where to even start. So I'm starting to talk to everyone in our team, but today, Kyle and Jen, about their careers, how they started, what lessons they learned, advice they have, and sort of like their trajectory and their career path and how that's different. Because it's different for everybody, and it's not always linear. We would all like it to be linear, but it's not always. So, Kyle, how'd you get started? Sort of what did you want to do when you were in high school, and like,
yeah, that's a good question. So I played soccer growing up. I played, all sorts of sports, but soccer was the one that I kind of enjoyed the most and felt, I guess, the best at, or the best chance of getting paid money to do that. I'm sitting here right now, so that did not work. And yes, that was most of my like childhood was like, oh, maybe I'll just do this for money.
Right.
And it wasn't until high school where they just made me pick something. And I think Mad Men had just came out, it's just an origin story for, I think, every man my age in marketing or advertising was, I want to be Don Draper, who is maybe the worst character on the show.
Quite possibly,
I should have, whatever.
Should have known.
And so I picked marketing, and it was my dad owned a business too, and so it was cool being around that, and I kind of felt like that was the most fun thing you could do while still being in business. And then went to college, did play soccer in college, which was great. Studied marketing again through college, and then had a catastrophic knee injury. And that was when I was like, oh, I can't do this forever. Or, maybe I should actually commit to a career, learning these things and being able to apply them. So that's kind of how I got into the marketing world. And I think I'm like one of very few people who, at least on this team, I might be the only one on this team who like studied marketing and then ended up in working in marketing.
Yeah.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah. Do you think if you didn't have that injury, like where would you have gone?
No, I wasn't good. That was just a realization that there was something like I needed to have something else, and that I was better at just playing. And I think I was an okay. I did go to school on a scholarship, so I was like better than like average, but I was not good enough to go and get paid by a club to go play for them. It's just, just a hard way to learn that lesson too.
Yeah, I got you. What about you, Jen?
So I've written my whole life. Like I've always wanted to be a writer. And I went to college for creative writing, double majored in creative writing and history, and took a lot of questions like, oh, are you going to teach? Are you going to be a journalist? Basically, oh, you're going to be a lawyer. That was another one. You can go to law school. Like, what are you going to do? And I think every millennial with an English degree probably has had those questions. And, how are you going to make money? It's great you like to write, but what are you going to do with your life? And I'm like, I'm going to be a writer. Like, I would confidently say, like, that's what I'm going to do. But then you do get that realization where it's like, oh man, so I do have to make money. Even if I want to be a writer, I have to do something to make money while I'm writing something. And so, decided that I was going to be a college professor. And so I went to graduate school, got into the University of Pittsburgh for creative writing. And it was really funny because there was an author that I admire a lot who came to an undergrad class and talked to us. And somebody asked him, like, what advice would you give to students who want to go to graduate school? And he was like, don't do it. And I'm like, oh, I'm committed. And I'm going, and what does this guy know? Sure, he's a great writer, but what does he know? And, so that was great. I went and had my first year of graduate school from 2008 to 2009. Hated it. Absolutely hated it. Was miserable. And I was in like lit classes with PhD candidates, and I just like that's exhausting. Like, I don't know how to describe it other than the amount of pretension there was just overwhelming to me. And I was working in a restaurant and I felt like I was making money for the first time in my life. And it was just this weird balance of two worlds. And then the economy crashed. And so,
wonderful.
Yeah. So I couldn't like get assistantships to like make money in school to get school paid for. And I was just sitting on this mountain of debt, and that was super fun from like all my student loans and whatever. So I had a little bit of a crisis, dropped out of graduate school, worked in restaurants for a while, and then kind of got this like weird Hail Mary thing where I ended up getting a chance to be a marketing coordinator for an engineering firm. And so I started there. And while I was there, I learned about like their website and email marketing, and just suddenly realized like I need to write to do these things. Like, and it was just this interesting like digital world that was kind of opened up to me, that my, desire to write just really slid into really easily. And it got to a point where, it's just time to move on, and I wanted a different opportunity. And I saw a job posting for an SEO analyst on a local agency's website. And I was like, I don't know what that is, but I'm going to apply for it because it says they need strong writing skills.
Yeah.
And so I did that, and they called me, and it turned out that the hiring manager actually went to the same college as me. So that kind of probably gave me a little bit of a leg up. But yeah, I got hired, and all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I need to figure out what SEO is.
Yeah. Have Kyle tell you.
Don't.
So I gave myself a really quick 2-week crash course in learning everything about SEO and analytics. And I had been in Google Analytics. I used it for the engineering firm, but like didn't need it at the level at which I was required to do that job. There were many panic attacks and a lot of like, I remember being thrown into my first client meeting, and they were like, this is Jen, our SEO expert. And I was like, hi. What's SEO? So that was really fun, but I made it. And I feel like I know a lot more these days.
Yeah.
And like I had an amazing development team who taught me like so much like web development stuff that kind of like flew into analytics and made it so much easier. But yeah, then ended up moving to South Carolina and got a different agency job, became their copywriter. Because again, like if there's an opportunity to write, I'm going to take it. And now I'm here.
Amazing.
So, yeah, just a long twists and turns, and
that's
so many more layers to that story.
Yeah. So you talked about like some of the moments where you felt like, okay, I thought I wanted to do this, and like, okay, never mind. There's like a big drawback here.
Yeah.
And then you also talked about some of the moments that like you had reassurance of like, okay, this is definitely what I wanted to do. Like, I'm sure of that, and this is like confirming that even more. Kyle, do you have like one of those moments for each like in your career of like, okay, this might be a setback, maybe I didn't want to do marketing, and how you kind of like got out of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think every career journey has ups and downs, but you don't really know until you've like moved on to the next thing, and you're like, oh, now I can compare like this versus that. I mean, right when before I even graduated college, I started doing my own thing. I'm using air quotes with thing, but it was I was helping some local businesses around where I went to school with their social media and help them get set up on websites. And I thought that was something that I wanted to do like forever, like by myself. I didn't have to like listen to anyone. Drawback was I didn't have anyone to learn from, which I desperately needed. And then actually, in order to gain like expertise to do that, I was applying to internships for agencies in Greenville, and I only got one response back, and it was from the agency where Jen was at, and that's where I met Jen. And once I got started in there, there was just so much to learn, so much that I had no idea about. Although I had this like background in like with my school in marketing, the application of marketing through like digital and social channels, had kind of learned like while I joined Jen, and Jen taught me like basically everything. So that was probably the biggest example I can give. I mean, the last career move to leaving the agency and then working for an in-house like marketing team for a local restaurant group was just wasn't quite what I thought it would be. It wasn't good or bad. It was just different than what I expected. I wasn't getting the amount of like education and learning, so I wasn't like filling up my bucket like trying to learn new things. And then I had an opportunity to join Jen again and remembered how much I learned from her and made the jump here, and holy cow, what a good decision.
Yeah.
I hope that answers your question.
No,
I don't have like that big like, oh man, this is wrong.
Which is helpful too, because like I said, like not every career path is the same. And I think when you're a college junior, senior, you're thinking about your career, like you hear advice from a lot of people, but a lot of times like you're hoping that you're gonna relate to the people who are like, yep, right out of college, I joined this job and then I moved up in the company and now I make a lot of money. And like, that's just not always going to be the case.
And I will say, I was super fortunate to even get a response from the agency that Jen and I'm at, because I went on the Greenville Area Chamber of Commerce website and then just sorted agencies, and I sent all of them an email. And it was like, do you have an entry-level position? Do you have an internship?
Yep.
I will come work for free. Like, I just want to learn.
Yep.
And I mean, I was lucky to get one response. And that one response, like, I knew it was an opportunity and I had to kind of give, like, everything. And being, like, honest about, like, I'm here to learn. Like, if that means a job, great. If not, still great. Like, I'll be able to take what I've learned and do it for my own thing or for someone else. So it's just a good, like, perfect storm of I was in that position where I wanted to learn, and I ended up working under someone who loved to teach.
Yeah,
so,
and you actually had like impeccable timing in that situation too, because we at that agency, we had just been at this like point of growth, especially on the digital side of things, where just desperately needed help. And you came in and had the kind of wherewithal. I was like, I'll do the things. Like there was no like resting on laurels. There was no sitting around waiting to be told. Like you were like, I'm here. Like, what can I do to help? And I think you were an intern for like a month. And then like, I was like, I need this guy.
Yeah. And it was kind of helpful for me to, so when you think about marketing, there's so many different things that go into marketing. There's data analytics, there's the financial, like the pricing side, there's the creative side, there's account management. I just knew I liked marketing. And so when I showed up and they offered me an internship, I was like, I will do whatever. Like I don't want to just be the account executive. I probably wouldn't have been great at that. I probably would have figured it out, but I wouldn't have enjoyed the time that I spent there as much as I did. So that's, I guess that'd be a good piece of advice too, is if you have a field, but you don't have a specific like piece of interest, just be open for whatever the opportunity is. Like give 110% to it. Again, even if you don't get the job from that opportunity, at least you'll have learned something, and you've kind of proven that you're willing to jump into something with both feet and like reckless abandon. So.
And just don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to raise your hand and ask people who needs help and how you can help them. And as somebody who manages people, I think one of the hardest things is to delegate sometimes. Like some people have no problem with it, but in my experience, more people have problems delegating than those who don't. And so to have somebody come up and stand in front of you and say, like, what can I do to help is a relief. And you, it kind of helps you get like such an amount of respect for somebody who will do that and come up to you and say those things and be like, I'm here. What can I do? So
I think a lot of people, a lot of students, like I said, my age bracket, are worried about like, you want to know everything. And there's like a whole, list of jobs that are like entry level, but you need to know everything. And like, there's like crazy. It's weird. And so you kind of want to be like, and in college, there's a lot of opportunities to either have like jobs on campus or like just do clubs and leadership through that. And especially like my specific age group and around these years of graduating, like we went through a pandemic in the middle of getting our education and getting our degree. So that kind of like either halted some people or shifted their perspective. So I think it's definitely good to be honest about what you don't know and like just try to like find an area that you can like just be like, I am a sponge and that's okay. And I need to learn and like use your education where you can, but also know that you have to like, that you have a lot of people that you can learn from, and you don't have to be like, you don't have to know everything coming out of college. Hopefully, if you find the right people to help you. If
you show up on day one, you know more than the people above you, you're probably not in the right place.
No, yeah.
Or you need to re-examine yourself and really ask yourself, do you know more than the people above you?
Yeah.
You might need to get your teeth kicked in a little.
Yeah. Definitely don't be afraid to ask questions. But another thing, like sort of stemming off of that, is there's so many different, like, no matter what your career is, there's so many different paths you can take. Big company, small company, self-employed, even like a lot of people try to start a business, or like in the film world, because I'm a film major. I want to eventually work on movies and TV shows. So in going that direction, like you could start making your own things. And that's personally, like, I'm not like huge into writing or directing. So that's not really like where my passion is. So like, I don't know how to condense this question, but like, what advice do you have for people who like know what they want to do, but like not really sure like where they fit into that career path?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That's a really good
I think you just, this might be too simple, but I think you just find an opening in that field and you can kind of just go like process of elimination. Like if you're fortunate enough to be in a good situation where maybe you're on a film set and you're doing lighting design, you're like, I'm not really crazy about this. Like, maybe I'll be much better like with audio.
Totally.
And, like reaching out to them and being like, hey, can I come help you set up for the next shoot or help you run the next shoot? I feel like that maybe is the best answer that I can give. That's such a good question.
So like from my perspective, again, like writing is something a lot of people want to do or think they can do well, but not a lot of people can be successful at it. And so for me, the success came in finding like, how can I make it a sidecar opportunity with me? Because again, working at the engineering firm, they needed a marketing coordinator and somebody who could do admin things. And so it's like, I can do that because I can write too. Like I can manage calendars and send emails and file things and do whatever, but I can write too. And I think that you'll see a lot of value there. And then, with the SEO agency, it was the same thing. It's like, I can learn this part. I can learn the technical part, but I'm really strong here. And I think that you'll see a lot. So it was really putting in the work and always raising that hand and saying, this is another skill set that I have that I see that you guys need, and you won't need a second person to do it. Because I can carry both of those things. You got to be careful with that because you can quickly be overloaded. I see you laughing at me. But it was the thing that, I picked up a lot of great skills along the way, but like, it was just that extra thing that was like, I proved that I could do it well. And it was the thing that got me in the door at a lot of places. Yeah.
I think with film, like to speak to my experience a little bit, a lot of people like my classmates, whatever, they might think like, oh, directing sounds great. Like, I like films. I'm going to direct. And you might not be suited at all for directing. Like, it's a great ambition. But, like, I would love to be like, I would love to say I won an Oscar for best direction. But I don't think I am. I'm not sure if that's my path. Obviously, like, I have a lot to learn in general. But, like, I think you know your strengths, but also, like, be open to other areas and like allow yourself to learn those skills, and you don't have to be so dead set on this one thing. Like you might not have any experience in it. So and like here, I'm really lucky here because everybody teaches me in their specific field. And so I didn't think I would want to edit so much, and like I'm editing more, and that's a really great skill to have. Even if it's not like my number one priority, like learning it is just, it's so good to know and have those extra skills and just like take every opportunity to learn as much as you can and listen to the experts, and like, just like, I don't want to say be completely like head down, like, and, like, what's the word? Like, definitely have like definitely be assertive, like definitely like,
But that's your sidecar, right? So that's the thing. It's like, okay, you need an editor. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah. But I really am good at this too.
Right.
And so
like,
those are the,
And, when I'm applying in the future, like getting jobs, what if I really want a job in like camera work or something, and like there's a company that needs an editor, and I know how to do that, and I can use that to sort of get in the door. That's so much better than having just like shut it down in the beginning and then like just never have done it because I was like, oh, I don't want to do that.
Right, exactly. It's the willingness to make that concession.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'll say something else too, and this is might be interesting. There might be some people that like find themselves in this situation too, but I'll just speak to marketing because that's what I know. There's the math element, like the accounting, the finance. That's probably what I was like best at. Like, I could do that, without thinking about it. But I didn't enjoy it. Like it did not I could not imagine doing that all the time. Anyone out there who loves that, that's terrific. But I really liked like being able to make something, or like being involved in the process to make something. So I had to like learn those skills required, the writing skills, the video terminology, how to communicate with other creators. So I would say too, like know your strengths, know your weaknesses. Also know what is going to bring you the most satisfaction from your work, because I I think you guys would agree. If you're doing something that you're really good at, but it does not bring you the joy and satisfaction that you need, it's not the right fit.
Totally.
Yeah, you're gonna be miserable.
And one more thing about like asking questions and stuff. The best people in every business know their weaknesses, and they know when to ask someone else a question. Yeah. Like that's not something that like you should be ashamed of. Like the best, like I said, the best people know to do that. I have one more question specifically for Kyle, just because this is a connection that I made, and I'm wondering if you feel the same way. Like, do you feel like being in working in a team, like at 9/8 Central, like do you feel like that kind of like exercise is a similar muscle as to when you were on a soccer team?
Yeah, 100%. And that's. I mean, I do the cheesy thing where it's like, oh, if you're in a sport, like if you play a sport, put that on your resume. Like, be ready to talk about how it applies to the job that you're applying for.
You've always done a lot of sports analogies.
I have. I can't like. I hate that I do them, but it's just that's what I've done for like most of my life. So that's really what I have to draw from. Yeah. And if you're working on a team and you've managed to figure out how to play on a team for decades, like I had, and how to deal with good teammates, how to deal with bad teammates, how to deal with good coaches, bad coaches, scenarios that you can't control,
problem solving on the day.
Yeah, it's very
and for me, it's helped me like find the size of the team that I want too. So like my first agency was maybe a little bit too big for what is comfortable for me, and not a huge company by any means. Second company that I was at, way too small. It's just a handful of people, not enough like interaction, collaboration, and then we kind of have like the Goldilocks. Like this is my sweet spot. Like a handful of people, a dozen or so. I can still have like those good personal connections and can lean on them. They can lean on me. So
that was just to speak a little bit on my experience. I was on dance team, and we were like a high school dance team was very competitive. We did 2 routines at nationals. And so those routines we practice every single day, over and over, cleaning them. It's like, okay, how can I get to this spot faster so that I'm on my count for this? And like, how do I make it look seamless, but I still do this thing and I can still be a part of, So we were creating visuals and every single day, like working to do that. And that's kind of like when I made the connection of like, oh, I could do this on a film set because I loved movies, but I didn't know where I could fit in with that.
Yeah.
So that like collaboration and detail and all that stuff really like, and I think knowing that I was good at that helped me to be like, okay, I would be good at this too.
Yeah.
So that's another, if people don't know what they want to do, think about the time that you knew that you were working hard, knew that you were successful at it, and maybe you were working so hard, but you didn't even realize that it was work and the time went by. That's when I knew, okay, I should be doing something that exercises those muscles. So is there anything else that you guys want to add? I feel like we covered a lot.
I mean, I think that nobody feels like they know exactly what they're doing at any time. And I think that's very, very normal. And so like, if you get into a situation, when your first job or when you finally enter the workforce, like it's okay to not know everything.
Yeah.
Because even the people who seem like they have it together and know everything don't.
Totally.
So don't make that, don't let that deter you. So,
totally. Yeah. So is there anything you guys are digging this week, Jen?
So I feel like after just doing like a social media episode,
right.
talking about not being on social media or your phone and that sort of thing. So there's an app. It's called Day One, and it's a journaling app, and it's really cool. I've been kind of using it since the beginning of the year. But you can write in it, or you can take a video or put a picture, and it's just like a really quick and easy way to just recap something that happened that day, and it's been really cool.
Great.
Yeah, I'm loving it.
Oh
my gosh, don't ask me. You go.
I can go. I'm vegetarian. I like to eat mainly vegan if I can, but it's a little bit hard when you live in Clemson, South Carolina. No excuses though, but no excuses. grind. So there's these protein bars called No Cow, and they have like 20 grams of protein, but like not a lot of ingredients at all. And I feel like it's so impossible to find protein when you're trying to eat vegan. And I try to work out as much as possible with my schedule. And those have been like a lifesaver because they taste, they're no Cliff Bar, but they taste good enough. The cookie dough flavor is the best. They have them at the Whole Foods in Greenville, and I buy like
cookie. Okay, I'm in.
They have I buy like 5 at a time, and they just add in new flavors. And I swear it's because I like buy them out every time. Like I swear, but yeah, I love those.
That's funny.
Oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm digging. Well, I got new protein. It's one ingredient and it's fully vegan and it's 30 grams of protein. It's called naked brown rice.
What is it?
It's
brown rice.
rice.
Just brown rice protein.
Oh.
It tastes like cardboard.
Where do you buy it?
I was going to say.
Yeah.
No, we'll talk.
It tastes like cardboard.
I have so many questions about how to.
Tastes like cardboard.
Yeah, it's like $20 for a thing.
Oh,
like
I can't do protein anymore. I tried. I don't know. Sometimes I can, but like, meh. I tried.
It's tough. It's tough.
I just watched the last episode of the first half of the last season of Ozark.
Ooh.
Okay.
Very good. Really good.
If my sister's watching this, I'm so sorry I still haven't finished season 2. That's a public apology. She's really mad that I haven't caught up. Since season 2, which is a while ago.
Yeah,
I got her into season 1 and then I dipped.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad.
How could you? Never mind.
I don't.
How could you not want to pick up after season 1?
I don't know.
That's fine. That's all you.
Yeah, it's all me. All right, so I think that's it. Hopefully you guys learned a little bit about career paths. If you're a college student, I'm right there with you. It can be really stressful, but hopefully this provided some insight and hope you learned a little bit. Yeah. Thanks for listening and watching if you did watch.
Yeah, and if you have questions, feel free to reach out to us.
Yes, follow us on Instagram, Twitter,
Facebook,
LinkedIn.
Yes.
Go check out our YouTube channel.
98C.
Head to our website.
Yeah.
98c.org.
And then rate and review.
Yes, please do.
Because we like that a lot.
Yes.
So.
All right.
Cool.
Great.
All right.
Awesome.
Thanks. Welcome to the 98 Central podcast, where we talk about growing a business, working in media, and building a team that we love. I'm the intern. Should I start over?
You're doing so well. That was so good. You've done it better than anyone here.
I know, but then
you forgot your name.
I know. It's like, I have to. It's fine. Okay. I'm not going to explain myself. It's fine.